Hello guys, what is up? Let's get straight into the video. It's the patch 2.3c notes. As you know, that is going to be coming out today. You'll be watching this pretty early on my time. It goes out 3 a.m. my time, but it is coming out today. And gonna be honest with you, if you're not interested in patch notes, this is probably going to be one of the least interesting patches you've ever read. This is patch 2.3c. It's relatively small. And the patches that they do just before the next cycle, so the next cycle is 2.4, generally tend to be pretty small. This is no exception. This is a relatively small patch, but it has got some interesting changes and some changes that I laughed at when I read them for the first time. In terms of what's coming out, before I get into it, thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel, reference link in the description below. If you have not received your July skin or your June skin and you want to, make sure you go and check out the video. I think it was like on the 3rd of June or the 2nd of June. There is a video that I published. Go and check it out. It'll have the pinned comments, the pinned names in the comments. If you haven't received your skin, I'm working through them right now, but keep pestering me because it helps me make sure I basically, it's a good way of helping me keep track of who I haven't and have gifted skins to. Speaking of skins, here we go. The My Hero Academia skins are coming. And yes, I said that correctly. It is obviously the My Hero Academia inspired skins, the Battle Academia skins from League of Legends. So the skins are coming. Ezreal, as you can see, is the poster boy, as you would expect. But there's lots of great skins in this line. And we're getting Ezreal, Graves, Katarina, and Lux. All obviously good options. In the back, I think that's Jarvan or Darius. No, I think that's Darius in the back. So I think, you know, eventually we'll get the extended line of the My Hero Academia skins. I keep saying My Hero Academia skins, regardless. Getting some cool accessories. These are Sentinel accessories and My Hero Academia. I'm doing it again. The Battle Academia skins. Okay, champion changes. Okay, we're just gonna do this.
Why on earth are they nerfing AP junglers again?
They're nerfing AP junglers again, and I'm assuming it's a low elo thing because it's definitely not a high elo thing, or at least if it is, the sample size must be relatively small, especially in Europe, because I almost never see Amumu get played. I think I've seen 2 Amumus in the last month. His base stats, his base armor's going down. This just hurts his early jungle HP. It's going to be a little difficult. I mean, Amumu usually started blue anyway. Amumus that started red often found themselves like a little bit slower in the jungle clear. So Amumu usually has to start blue, and because blue gives you health regeneration, it shouldn't matter a huge amount. But they're just, you know, they're just nerfing his early game ever so slightly. These armor changes generally tend to affect junglers more so than anybody else, because junglers are the ones that are more likely to get locked into duels. It'll just make him weaker to things like Lee Sin and Xin Zhao and any kind of AD jungler that can pressure Amumu. It just makes him a little weaker to those kind of things. Weaker to Kha'Zix, for instance, as well. So you just have to be a little careful in those matchups that you're already pretty bad in. Braum, he's getting nerfed, and actually getting nerfed pretty heavily as well. They're fixing a bug fix where he got a slightly longer than intended stun on his passive at max rank, so it's going down to where it was intended to be, which is 1.5 seconds. And his first ability, the HP damage is being dropped by 2%. They're almost nerfing the percentage HP damage of that by half, so that's a pretty big chunk off. And this is actually the bigger nerf, I think. The unbreakable duration is dropping by 1 second, so they're giving him the Lulu treatment. So they're nerfing his shield duration by 1 second. These are big nerfs to Braum. You know, I still think Braum is clearly going to be strong. Like the way that Braum's kit works is he's always going to be strong. But the shield nerf of 1 second, it might not seem like a lot, but it actually is. These might drop Braum out of S+ tier, probably keep him in S. I mean, I don't expect Braum's going to become instantly bad because of this, but these are certainly changes that are going to hurt him quite a lot. And I expect Braum to maybe be a little less picked up in the next patch. Still think he'll be good. Don't get me wrong, everyone's playing Sona now, though, and Sona is good into Braum. So Braum might actually drop down in priority because people love picking Sona into Braum, and now Braum's getting nerfed, so Sena's going to be even better in that situation, so you might not see as much Braum. And I think because of Sena, you're actually starting to see a lot of Leona, which we'll talk about soon. Evelynn. Evelyn's getting nerfed, another AP jungler. Her heal of 7.5% AP per second. He's getting a 25. She's basically getting her heal nerfed by 25% overall. So her damage recovery is dropping by 25%, so she can't just slip back into her passive and get all of her health back. She's actually going to have that reduced by a lot. And the AP ratio against low health champions, her execute potential is getting nerfed by 20% AP ratio, which is actually a pretty big deal. 20% AP ratio is nothing to be sniffed at. So Evelynn getting kind of stabbed again. They really want to kick Evelynn down a little bit. No changes to Lee Sin, so it's just going to make Evelynn less viable in high elo and Lee Sin even more viable. There you go. Ezreal. They think he's a little bit too slippery. They think Ezreal's got a little bit too much mobility in the early games. They're buffing or nerfing the cooldown on his arcane shift. But important to note, you max this second, and by rank 3, you're not going to notice that much of a difference, and by rank 4 it'll be exactly the same. This is not really going to nerf Ezreal's mid to late game that hard, but it will nerf his early game. You just have to be a little bit more careful about where you choose to use your arcane shift. Do I think this is going to make Ezreal bad? Absolutely hell no. This is barely going to touch Ezreal in my opinion. Most Ezreals would, if you're using your arcane shift aggressively as an Ezreal, you're asking yourself in a lot of matchups to just get killed. So you know, usually you'll use your arcane shift to disengage, or you'll use it to chase up on a kill when it's a relatively surefire thing. But I don't think this is going to massively impact Ezreal. I think in general he's going to remain good. Yeah, you've all been waiting for it. Oh yeah, it's the Fiora nerf. Oh, come on everybody, just get ready for this. I know you can read it, but I just want you to all to take in. I want you to take this in. Just absorb it. Absorb it, because it's only a 40 HP nerf. Look, frankly, I know that Fiora's win rate is probably pretty normal. To win a game as Fiora, you kind of have to snowball quite hard, and because split pushing doesn't really work as a tactic in Wild Rift, or at least it's not an easy tactic to execute, the pure Fiora win condition is quite hard. But she is still the most obnoxious level 1 Baron laner, and she wins almost every matchup in a 1v1, and a good Fiora player will make your life a living hell. It probably doesn't feel that way at lower elos, because the Fioras there maybe aren't as good, but if I play a Fiora in the Baron lane, if that Fiora is good, you can just kiss goodbye to my lane. Do I think 40 HP nerf, level 1, is going to make her bad? What do you think? If you answered no to that question, you're correct. I don't think this is going to make Fiora bad. This will slightly impact her grasp damage, ever so slightly impact her grasp damage. But it's really that the level 1 plus grasp poke is almost impossible to deal with. Like, her level 1, 2, and 3 power spike is very strong in terms of the way she duels in lane. Maybe this opens up, you know, the matchup a little more. If you go for an all-in and you just don't let all your vitals get procced, then maybe it opens up the matchup. But I would have loved to have seen like a cooldown nerf on her lunge early game, or maybe a slight range nerf to her lunge. But, you know, I'll take any nerf that I can get on Fiora. I might be wrong. This might make her a little worse in the laning phase. I'll wait for some expert opinions like Darkbreaker to really tell me how he thinks this is going to go. But I don't envision it's going to make Fiora suddenly bad. Janna. Okay, Janna is getting another set of nerfs. The bonus movement speed whilst on cooldown is going down in the late game specifically. So she's not going to be able to zip around the map. I mean, both her and Braum deserved, maybe Braum got nerfed a little too hard, but both her and Braum did deserve being looked at. This might level out the support playing field a little bit, but I will say that since Senna's come out, I've barely seen any Janna, because everyone wants to play Senna. Whether I think... Look, I don't think this is going to suddenly change Janna's position in the meta. Obviously, the bonus movement speed was nice, but it wasn't the thing that made her really OP in her kit. You know, I think Janna's still going to be very, very playable. Still very high tier support, to be honest with you. Right, here we go. Do you remember ages ago, and I said the thing that Leona needs is to be more tanky. She just needs to be a little more tanky, and actually she'll be really viable. Well, everybody... they did it. The base damage on her Sunlight's going up, especially in the late game where you're getting plus 15, which is really nice. I love this. This is a really nice way to sort of play on Leona's strengths. But the big change here is this Eclipse. You're getting a buff to... You're getting 25 extra armor in the late game, and 10 at level 1, and 10 extra magic resist and 25 extra magic resist at level. And so that by the time that you're level 7, you're going to have 25 extra magic resistant and armor in Eclipse. Kind of nutty. Like, that's really good for Leona. And she's already quite meta right now because of the prowess of enchanters, but specifically because she's really good into Sona. And so I'm expecting Leona to be a very high tier pick on this patch, because this is an insane buff to her Eclipse. This is going to make her really tanky at that second dragon fight, maybe the fight around the Rift Herald. That 80 magic resistant armor, that's nothing to be sniffed at. Really, really big changes for her. And I think it might catapult Leona into a high tier pick in solo queue. Rakan is getting a 1 range increase on his Quill. I think it's a good change. I think his Quill felt incredibly short range in the current meta. So I like the change on Rakan, and I think it's relatively solid, but I don't think it's going to suddenly make him OP. I think Rakan was already good, by the way. I think Rakan is a pretty solid pickup. And I actually like this because it means that you can leave Gleaming Quill at level 1 and max your shield a little bit more effectively. So I like that a lot. And it just means you're able to trade a bit more effectively in the laning phase. So that's good. I think this is a good change. Sona's getting nerfed. Not a massive nerf, but they're basically making her her heal cost a little bit more in the laning phase. So you're really going to have to go tier, otherwise you're just going to be using all your mana as Sona. So you basically have to go tier. But yeah, Song of Celerity. I think Song of Celerity is in her heal. We don't want to. Oh no, wait. So Song of Celerity is the speed up one, right? Let me just double check, guys. Give me a second. Yeah, it's the speed up one. Meh. Do you really ever see Sonas use that in the laning phase? Probably not, but it might impact the first dragon fight. She might go out of mana a little bit more quickly. I don't envision this is going to suddenly sort of shift Sona's position in the meta a lot. And as I said, like, it's a relatively small patch, but the Leona and the Braum changes are huge. Otherwise, not a huge amount. There are some item changes here, as you can see. The Bramble Vest is getting a bonus armor, so the damage that you get. So basically, the damage that the Bramble Vest and then therefore Thornmail puts out is essentially being reduced. So yeah, you're getting a reduction in the damage that this item puts out. And I think Bramble Vest was a very big go-to item for, like, a lot of people would just pick up Bramble Vest and build tank items. I think that's fine. They're also buffing the cost of nerfing the cost of Thornmail, increasing it by 100 gold essentially. I don't usually ever really complete Thornmail, so that doesn't bother me. But the Bramble Vests, you know, I think it's a pretty solid change. I think it was a very good item. I love that they're also buffing Frozen Heart here, because it didn't really feel like many people were picking it up. So they're increasing the attack speed reduction down to 20%, which is really interesting because you can combine that with Warden's Mail and Randuin's Omen. Like, you're actually getting a really big reduction in attack speed to high attack speed targets. So going against things like Jinx, Vayne, Kai'Sa, any attack speed dependent AD carries, like these items could be good pickups. And we're also increasing the movement speed of Pathfinder. Good for junglers who want to move across the map and be more gank heavy. Which, you know, I think given a lot of the nerfs to the inspiration runes, especially the nerf to Mastermind, I think this is nice. An extra movement speed, you know, when you're moving through the jungle and the river is a relatively good thing. So I think Pathfinder is a rune that deserves to get picked more. And I think just buffing a little bit of movement speed might encourage some junglers who want to be more gank orientated and rely on movement speed to do that. So like Xin Zhao, for instance, could be encouraged to pick up Pathfinder because it's a good rune in that regard. That's the patch. That's everything. I'm looking forward to patch 2.4, but that's the entire patch here. Predictions? Fiora's, I don't think will change much, but Leona is the big winner of this patch. She's got a huge buff, and I think that's going to really give her some legs when she gets into sort of the bot lane meta. So yeah, I think the big changes here are the Leona. Other than that, Braum is the biggest loser. Evelynn and Braum are the biggest losers. But Leona's the biggest winner. So we'll see how the meta goes on. We've got a couple of weeks until we get to patch 2.4. So hopefully this is a relatively balanced meta, and we can see this one out.